Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so I've got a little bit of news here going on. Some of you may already know about this. It's definitely going pretty viral on social media. But this is some news that really gets a lot closer to home here. South Carolina. Not to me, per se, personally, but definitely within my community. News anchor of Channel 7 WSPA, Amy Wood, has had a scandal hit her family. Her daughter has gone viral for saying some absolutely disgusting things. It's going viral on social media. Now, Amy Wood, I have actually bumped into Amy Wood a few times in person. She's a news anchor right here in this community. And believe it or not, I've only ever met that I've recall seeing out in public like two people from the news channels. I've only ever bumped into them in person. Two people. One is the lady that does the weather on Channel 7, Christy Henderson. I bumped into her at like, festival type stuff like 4th of July. We go to like Barnett Park and watch the fireworks. I've bumped into her. The other is Amy Wood. And I bumped into her like a convention center one time. And this was like I was a little kid. And I didn't watch the news, but SmackDown used to be on the channel, so I would always watch wrestling, and then we would see her in the commercials. So me and my buddy were like, "Oh, you're the news lady." So I met her then. The other time, I bumped into her years ago at the mall. At the time, I was doing like a security job, and there was a shoplifter in the store. And she was like right there, and she started coming over looking to see what was going on. So I bumped into her then. The two interactions I had with her didn't strike me as being a bad lady, but and I still don't know for a fact she's a bad lady, but we'll come back to that in a moment. Either way, I'm going to roll these clips for anyone that might not know what was said. Brace yourself. These are disgusting remarks, and it's going to be very uncomfortable for a lot of people. It's a shame people would still say shit like this, in my opinion. But nonetheless, let's roll the clips, and we'll come back and discuss later.
Mexicans and Middle Easterns out. All they do is want to kill people. What? What about what? Africans. Africans, kill them! Literally, we should blow up the whole continent of Africa.
How do you feel about Germans?
Y'all are Nazis, but since y'all hate gay people and black people, I support. Hail. Hail Hitler! Honestly, Hitler was a pretty quality man, and he went out the right way by killing himself. I feel like I'd rather kill myself than be killed by a firing squad. Let's think of one else. Favorite N-word? Neighbor.
Oh!
Yes! I got it! Yes!
I fucking got it!
Say it.
No. EO, I think should burn and die.
Let's go through your favorite racial slurs.
Oh god.
Okay, chink for Asian.
Keep going. Next. Keep going.
Fag! Literally, all gay people are fags. Literally get chopped.
What happened? It's a slur.
Monkey. All black people look like monkeys. You can't convince me different. Okay, they literally look like they should grow ears and have a tail. And serve in the fucking woods and in the jungle. No, but not the ones that are like, woo. Yes, they do! You see Curious George? Oh, shit. Well, I guess black people are halfway to being fucking monkeys anyway, so my...
Yeah, so completely disgusting remarks. And there's been a lot of backlash towards this. I want to show everyone on the screen real quick. This is what Amy Wood put out in response to the situation. I'll read to you what it says. I'll have it listed on the screen here. Okay, she put out this response on January 13th after all this come out. She said, "I want to apologize on behalf of my daughter and our family for the horrific, disgusting, and vile things my daughter said on the video so many of you have seen. We know the words spoken have caused terrible pain, and we are heartbroken over this. Since we have never tolerated racism or hate in any fashion, we stand completely opposed to any behavior that diminishes anyone. I've been a people person my whole life, and I've raised my children to love everyone. There are no excuses for anything on that tape. Gracie has been a champion for rights and equality at her school. This party at someone else's home provided the perfect opportunity for so-called friends to bait a very intoxicated 17-year-old to say things that are in direct conflict with the way she has led her life. This is not Gracie's heart, and this is not our heart. We will be working to learn from this and grow even stronger in our beliefs of equality and inclusion. To anyone who has been hurt, we offer our sincerest apology and ask for your forgiveness. Okay, so couple of things there. First of all, she's claiming the girl was intoxicated. You be your judge. She certainly seemed to be kind of, I don't know, over the top in certain responses, I guess. Like, yeah, yes, they are, or some shit like that, right? But, so, I guess possibly. But on the other hand, people who are heavily intoxicated are known to slur their words, okay? I didn't hear, like, slurring any language or anything like that. She was speaking rather clearly. She was acting like a complete, idiot. But does that mean she's drunk, or are you using that as an excuse? Because, again, somebody that's that drunk can just babble and say all kinds of stupid stuff, but their speech isn't as coherent. Next thing. She's 17. She's at someone's house at a party drinking underage. Now, is underage drinking unheard of? No. Did I drink before I was 21? Yes. Okay. I'm not going to say how young, but I drank before I was 21. A lot of teenagers do. But that being said, Amy, it's your daughter. You're a news anchor. And your husband has a particular position too, but we're going to come back to that in a minute because there is some serious irony you can't just make up that relates to my last video in regards to this. But we're going to come back to that. First, let's tackle the issue at hand here. You're a news anchor. You're in the public eye all the time. Responsible parenting, you should be making sure you know where your kid's going. Your kid's going to this party. There's lots of guys around, there's other girls around, and they're going to be drinking and they're underage. Does that sound like something you should allow your kid to go to? Just saying. I mean, it's responsible parenting here, right? So, she's 17. She's underage drinking, and even if this was her being drunk, why are you not keeping a better track on who your kid is associating with? And by the way, these so-called friends, I don't know what their relationship to Gracie Wood is, but I will say this. They're pretty much about just as deplorable in my book. Because, granted, yeah, one recorded it. Everybody else was like laughing at this shit, right? Like they thought it was funny. There was nothing funny about what she's doing. Unless the idea was we're just going to record you saying all this and put it up online, so we're laughing about the fact we're about to bust you or something. But nothing was funny about anything she said. So all these little frat white kids, because that looked like exactly what it was. A bunch of fraternity white kids to me. These are the kind of people where the whole white privilege stigma comes from. Because they're out here hurling around slurs, racial insults, derogatory remarks. They're out here hurling that stuff around like nobody's business. And in her case, look at who her parents are. Her mom is literally one of the most recognizable news anchors in upstate South Carolina. If you don't know who Amy Wood is and you live where I live, you've been living under a rock. I mean, the woman has been literally on local news since I was in elementary school. I have a beard now. And I didn't just graduate high school either. Okay? This woman has been on the news for a long time. Two women are extremely recognizable as news anchors in upstate South Carolina. One is Amy Wood, and the only one that might be even more recognizable than her is Carol Goldsmith from Channel 4. I mean, these are like household names in this area of the world. Kids know who she is. The adults know who she is. The old folks know who she is. Everyone knows who Amy Wood is. Okay? But what I found even more interesting was who the dad is. So I'm going to put another picture up on the screen right here. You'll see it. Her dad is Justice Mike Wood. Why is that something I'm bringing up? I'm not trying to dox the guy. There is an irony here that's just... I can't. I really fucking can't. If you watched my video that I just put out right before this, it was about me having to go to court. I had to make an appearance in court over a traffic ticket that a state trooper who, in my opinion, has the goal of just handing out tickets to anyone she can, wrote to me. It was about the whole Move Right law. If you want to know more of the details, go back and watch that video. I went to court, I fought it, and I won. Now, I did say in that video, I said at least the judge was a fair judge, because since I made a good enough argument and they couldn't present evidence to prove that I was wrong, they couldn't prove my guilt, and I have to be presumed innocent till proven guilty, if we're going to follow the Constitution here. He was fair, and he found me not guilty. That being said, I also mentioned in that video how unhappy he looked. Because I'll be honest, from the time I sat there, it's almost like, and I brought this up, it's like they've got a little system worked out. Because each speeding ticket, which, again, half the people in that traffic court were for that same state trooper I was there to see. It's like she just hands out all these tickets, books an entire day in court, and then she's sitting there all day long going through her tickets while whatever judge is there, whether it be, Justice Wood or someone else, oversees it. It's like they've got a system worked out there. Because every single speeding ticket, he has the ability to lower the points so much, and he has the ability to lower the fine to a certain extent. It's very obvious none of the tickets that she wrote, speeding tickets, were just a slap on the wrist, here's the minimum. She obviously did not take away the minimum points. She obviously did not give the minimum fine. How do I know that? I listened. Because every single one of those tickets, if you pled guilty, he would cut you a deal. I'll do you a favor, he would tell him. He'd drop it to 2 points off from wherever it was and drop the fine as low as he could take it to $77. Now, guess what? There's still money being collected. Her ticket still holds up, so it looks better on her resume. But he does it to everyone, so he's sending a message to everyone else in line. Don't come up here and take up my time and argue to try to get out of this. Take the guilty thing, give us a little bit of money, and I'll let you off easier than what she... It's good cop, bad cop. That is coercion in a courtroom, in my opinion. That is coercion in a courtroom. And my wife, I told her what I went in there and I did. And again, if you want to see how I argued, I argued, well, I didn't go into a ton of detail, but as I said, I came in with my guns loaded. I researched that law very well. I went in and I argued it. You could tell the cop was extremely pissed. She probably wasn't very used to people going into court and arguing against her ridiculous tickets. And I told my wife, I said, there's the problem. You said you wouldn't have gone through all that. It was $25. You would have just paid it. That's what they're counting on. Those ridiculous tickets will never stop as long as there are people willing to just take it. and go in there and hand them a little bit of money, they'll not only keep issuing those, they'll see how much further they can push the boundaries to issue even more. Especially when her end game is to climb the ranks, because Trooper Todd, the South Carolina Highway Patrol, is at the bottom of that totem pole. I forget I think it's TPO, I think, but I have to look at the ticket to see again exactly what her rank is. Either way, if you look it up, it comes out to be a basic patrol officer. So from what I can gather, she's not a ranked person. She's not up the chain of command anywhere. So she's out there trying to hand out tickets left, right, and sideways to make herself look wonderful on her resume to climb the ladder. So I'll harass anyone as long as I think I can get a ticket to stick. And as long as people don't fight back, she assumes they'll stick. So that's why she was so pissed when I came in and did what I did. The judge obviously wasn't very happy either, because I didn't just go along with their little game of pay the $25 and get out of here. I did what the judicial system allows me to do, and that is make my case, prove that you can't prove my guilt. Let me go. I did that. The irony, I cannot get over it. That the guy I just dealt with on Friday is this girl's dad. Now, when I say he didn't seem happy, maybe it's because that's what was going on there. I don't know. Namely because this all started taking place on January 13th. January 14th, I'm in this guy's courtroom. Maybe he had other things on his mind. I don't know. Either way, he ruled fair. But now we got to get to the problem here, okay? So Amy Wood's response is that this is not who that her daughter Gracie is. It's not who she is. It's not what they believe in. It's not what they've taught their daughter. Where's she getting all this from? You can't tell me that's just alcohol talking. I have been drunk off my ass. I've said ridiculous things, but I have never turned into a complete racist. Like, I don't just turn into someone like that. The argument that you're going to be that much of a Jekyll and Hyde just because you drank and you will just say all sorts of things that to that level that you don't believe or you don't feel. You could argue that to an extent, but I don't think it could go that far. I've never... People are only going to drink so much and shit, they're going to pass out. Or black out. Now, maybe she blacked out. I don't know. Maybe she blacked out. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, but either way, even when you black out, a lot of times, you're still doing things. You might not remember doing it, but was she that drunk? Because again, if you're blacked out, I'm not hearing any slurring of language or anything like that. It's just questionable that she's that drunk that she's not even aware of the things she's doing or what's coming out of her mouth. I don't know that I buy that. I just can't bring myself to buy that story because, again, her speech is very coherent. And I've been drunk, and you will start really slurring your words if you're that drunk. And I did not hear her do that. So I can't bring myself to believe that answer. Which then brings the question again, where is she getting this stuff from? Where's she getting it from? The obvious answer most people are turning to would be the parents. You raised your daughter. And another thing I have a hard time believing is that in today's world, with how together the races are, black people, white people, Hispanic people, I mean, America's been the melting pot, right? We've been that way for a very long time. I have a very hard time believing anyone is just going to naturally become a racist without any sort of outside influence pushing them into that direction. I have a very, very hard time believing anyone's just going to naturally morph into a racist. I don't see that happening. I think, now does that mean there are no racists? Does that mean there will be no new racists? No. Again, outside influences. Someone is teaching you these sort of things. Someone is putting that in your head and making you think that way. You've heard this somewhere. Where's it coming from? That's the big question right here. And again, most people turn towards your family. How were you raised? How were you brought up? I know the way I was brought up affects about how I think about a lot of things about the working class, jobs, politicians, things I heard growing up, and knowing what my family went through with working class and things like that. Listening to those stories, that has something to me. It affects how I feel about a lot of things. Now, I will tell you this too. I heard a lot of other things, not necessarily from family, but I heard a lot of things similar to some of those comments. I chose to just not listen to or believe such trash. Some people can make that choice. Just because you heard it doesn't even mean you have to still agree with it or believe it. So why does she believe these things? Well, again, your mom is one of the most recognizable news anchors in the upstate. Your dad is a judge. Okay, so that being said, I don't believe the Wood family lives in financial hard times. In other words, they're pretty well off in this area of the world. They are probably living a very cushy, very comfortable life. Most things that girl wants, she probably gets. In other words, spoiled. Opportunities handed over on a silver platter. Spoiled kids are some of the worst snotty-nosed kids out there. Point blank. Okay? You know the type. They've never had to work hard for anything. It's all been handed to them. Put it this way. This is where the people, and I have my differences with some of the Black Lives Matter rhetoric and the critical race theory stuff, but this is where you have to acknowledge there is at least, you have to acknowledge this much, at least there is some element of truth when they talk about the difference between the white community and the black community. And here's what I'm talking about. Your 17-year-old, going back to this, your 17-year-old daughter is at a party drinking underage. It's on social media. You're the most recognizable news anchor, or one of, in this entire area. And you've got your kid out here saying all these racial things and going to parties and drinking. And now that and the drinking thing is by what you claim. You claim she's drunk. We didn't see her drinking a beer. We didn't see her doing shots. You claim she was drunk. So you're admitting that she consumed alcohol at this place. So, is anyone going to the parents or the people who own that house and charging someone with contributing to the delinquency of a minor? Is that happening? I'm not hearing about it. More importantly, has child services came to you and approached you about your kid and why you're letting her go to these sorts of environments, and that it seems like you're doing a bad job as a parent because she's out here saying things like that and you're letting her go to places to consume alcohol when she is underage? Have you been approached for anything like that, Amy Wood? I don't think so. Now, I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'd love to see the evidence, and I will be the first one to come right back on my show and admit I was wrong. But I'm not hearing anything about that. You're only hearing about the scandal. I'm not hearing any true repercussions from what's been exposed between the video and Amy Wood's response to the video, which is admitting she's consuming alcohol underage. But what if it was a black family? What if an underage black kid went to one of these things, went to one of these parties, and was consuming alcohol underage and did something in a video that made it go viral? Is it 100% guaranteed to be a different result? No. there's a chance it could be the same. But what do you think? Seems a lot more likely that if it wasn't a rich and important person, that it wasn't someone who was so well known, and then something went viral, that at the very least the people who own the house would probably have something done to them for allowing it to take place, or the parents of the kids could be in some trouble for allowing their kid to go do something like that and not keeping a better check of their kid. Now, 17 is close to 18, but still underage. Again, is it guaranteed to be different? No, it's not guaranteed to be different. But there's a safe bet that it very well could be a lot different if those roles were reversed. And it wasn't a well-known news anchor whose husband is a literal judge. If you didn't have those variables in the mix, who knows what this situation could look like? Even if it isn't a black family. What if it's another white family that just wasn't as well known? So that is where this whole stigma of the white privilege comes from. People like that, even though, again, I've never personally had an issue with Amy Wood, you've got to ask the questions now. Where is your daughter getting those things from? Is that really how y'all feel? And just because you're a news anchor, you're trying to run PR here to cover for yourself? And if it's not from you, and it's not from your husband, the justice, please tell me where it's coming from. I think a lot of people would love to know the answer to that question. Who is she hanging around that is influencing her views that are coming out after she's been drinking, apparently? And I just realized I need to make a correction here. I've been referred to him as Justice Wood the entire time. Judge. Apparently, I guess in the judicial system, something I wasn't even thinking about. Justice is more Supreme Court. A judge is more over the lower courts. So, correction if you've made it this far. If not, there's probably people in the comments who have already corrected me on that. But Judge Wood. It's only Judge Wood. So, where is it coming from? Is it grandma? Is it grandpa? Is it a cousin, aunt, uncle, friends, so-called friends? I mean, but either way, even if it is some other influence, you've been raising your kid. You've been teaching her right for wrong. Other people could be telling her that, but you should be there to tell her a different way. You should be there to tell her the right way. You should be there, if y'all are really about all this equal rights and equal opportunity stuff, you should be the one drilling that into her. She should never even think to believe such ridiculous trash, such garbage. It shouldn't even be a thought in her mind. She would know how ignorant the people who truly believe that really are. So why does she not? That you can't make any for sure statements. For one, the dad being a judge, you're opening yourself up to a slander case if you do. If you say, yeah, they taught it to her. If you say that, you're opening yourself up to slander. I don't know what they've taught her. I don't. I'm only asking questions here. And I think for people, especially in this community, and the news this has made, and someone as well known as Amy Wood is, we deserve better answers than what's been put out up to this point. What's been put out to this point doesn't cut it. Something doesn't add up there. You want us to forgive your daughter, we at least need to know for sure where that came from in her head. And I do not believe it came out of a brown paper bag. And that's the only reason. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I could be wrong, but I don't believe it. And I don't think most people have believed it either. So, you need to give a little bit better answer than that, for sure. But let me know what you guys think about this situation. Drop the comments in the comment box down below. It's a terrible thing that we're still dealing with things like this and people who think this way about people who are not the same color as they are, or they might look a little different, so you just label people and judge them based off of that. The fact that we're dealing with this after all this time in 2022, I mean, I knew it existed, but to just hear it that blatant at this point, it's stomach turning. It really is. It really and truly is. So, let me know what you guys think. Drop the comments down below. We'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.